Hello, Grace. Welcome back to our reading plan. Today is August 15th, and we're looking at Jeremiah 37, 38, and then we're reading the beginning of Ezekiel from chapter 1 to chapter 3, verse 15. Now, Jeremiah is towards the end of his prophetic witness in Judah, and he sees that Babylon leaves because of Egypt, but he knows Babylon's coming back with more and more people to destroy Jerusalem. So he's trying to leave to go to another region so that he can get his land and not be in Jerusalem when they are ransacked and deported. But he gets put in prison, and he's like, I'm not trying to defect. But he's in a dungeon, and Zedekiah could have done something, but he doesn't. And instead, he calls him to give a prophetic witness. And again, Jeremiah witnesses against Jerusalem and talks about an extended exile. And Zedekiah doesn't like this, but he doesn't send him back to the dungeon. And there are other people who say, Zedekiah, he's gonna destroy the morale of any of the remaining forces in Jerusalem. We need to kill him. And so Zedekiah says, go ahead and do it. Right? This king is horrible. And so they put Jeremiah into a cistern, and he's starving and he's in mud. And then someone else is like, why are we doing this? And so they free him. They go to Zedekiah, can we free him? And Zedekiah says, sure. Well, he has no conviction or leadership at all, but he allows his people to do basically whatever they claim to him to do, and ask him for them to do. And so he allows it to happen. But then he still goes to Jeremiah, and Jeremiah says, if I tell you the truth, you're going to kill me. And so he said, no, I won't kill you. Well, he tells him the truth, and Zedekiah says, don't tell anyone what you said to me. And Jeremiah's like, whatever, I'll listen to you. And so he does, and of course his prophecy against Zedekiah and against those who stay in Jerusalem comes true, and he remains in prison until Jerusalem is captured. And so the prophetic witness of Jeremiah is not easy. It's bitter. It's not a fun time to be a prophet, to be speaking for the Lord and speaking the words of the Lord. He does not experience the glory of being a good prophet. He's in prison. And that is the nature of people who speak the truth of God. They don't get the renown that maybe we would desire. They get mistreated. And we'll see that throughout all of the prophets. We saw it in Isaiah. We'll see it in Jeremiah. We'll see it even more as we go forward in this continuous prophetic witness we're going to be seeing. Now, we're going to focus on Ezekiel for the next few minutes. And Ezekiel is especially these couple of chapters are very interesting and very hard to picture. And this is what is known as apocalyptic literature. And it was popular from about 100, 200 AD. So we have no concept for what apocalyptic literature is. When we read this, we're trying to picture these beings, these seraphim with the four different faces, and wings, and then these tires, these wheels that have eyes all over them. Like, what on earth is happening here? Well, apocalyptic literature isn't supposed to be pictured into one amalgamation of a character. We're supposed to see each of the individual descriptions as by itself. Again, how do you describe something that is so outside of your concept of description, right? I mean, I was reading a book called Flatland, and if you were to describe a ring to a two-dimensional being, right, they would have no concept for it, right? They would see a ring passing through their land, but they would only see dots, and no one would be able to have a concept of going up or down or what a ring is. And so Ezekiel is describing something that we have no concept for. And so he's using images to help us see the meaning of what he is looking at. And many commentators point to the four faces of the seraphim as indicating creation, as being a witness through all creation, a witness to God's creative authority and power. And the fact that they look in every direction means that God is sovereign over all directions. The fact that the wheels can go anywhere and they have eyes all over, again, speaks to the omniscience of who God is. And then we see he looks, the one on the throne looks like some sort of burning metal. So we see this kind of glory, this glorious burning. And again, if you when you read Revelation, you're going to see these pictures. You're going to see almost the very similar description. And so Ezekiel and John are seeing the same thing and describing it in ways to help us understand the meaning of it. So he's looking at the throne of God, or this kind of chariot throne of God, right? They're moving every direction. And so God is over and above everything. He's glorious, right? He sits on this glass of crystal. He's above it all. And again, we'll see these images in Revelation. But Ezekiel is commissioned to be a prophet. And I want to focus on this. He says, eat this scroll, then go and give its message to the people of Israel. So I opened my mouth and fed me the scroll. And he said, fill your stomach with this. And when I ate it, it tasted as sweet as honey in my mouth. Now, the scroll earlier, it has cover with funeral songs, words of sorrow, pronouncement of doom. Now, even though the scroll tastes good in his mouth because it's the word of the Lord, right? Anyone who ingests it and knows the word of the Lord is going to experience the pleasure and the intimacy that is that. But we see in John, when he eats the scroll, it's sweet as honey in his mouth, but then in his stomach, it's bitter. Now, why is that? Because when you're speaking the judgment of God upon the world, upon this people, it's not a joyful task. Meaning that the people are going to turn and persecute and abuse those who speak the word of the Lord because they don't want to hear it. And I know the same for us. Many of us love the word of the Lord, but we're afraid to say what it says so that we don't hurt other people. Well, we see Isaiah, Jeremiah, Ezekiel, John, all of them are called to speak the truth of God. And it's an intimacy that many of us don't know, but it's also a hard task. And so we have to look at ourselves and say, do I care more about what the king says? Do I care more about what my neighbor says, what someone else says, more than what God is displaying in Scripture? And so as we look at Ezekiel, we see that God is sovereign over everything. And that should empower us to be able to do the hard things on earth. So I hope you enjoy the reading today. God bless you.